WNC, America's Black News Channel. Watch 15 minutes. Share with everyone. Finally, news that speaks to us.
If you can't defund, then decertify. That's what's happening in Northern Virginia with recent police department reforms. More and more cops are being decertified because of their misconduct. They can no longer work in law enforcement anywhere, at least in the state of Virginia. So is the decertification policy what we've been looking for? Dr. Matthew Fogg is a former U.S. Marshal. He joins us now. So Dr. Fogg, I'll ask you the question. Can decertification help steer police away from misconduct?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, it is an action that needs to be taken because of the fact that these officers are already apparently been vetted, and there have been investigations found that there's been some nefarious or something that they've done that isn't within the standards of law enforcement. And it's been the reason why the image of law enforcement has taken such a hit. So if you can start decertifying these people, and the key would be is that we have a database so that other law enforcement departments, when they're doing their investigations, these people try to run to some other department, then they'll know who they are. And they'll be able to very easily say, look, you can't come over here and bring that liability to us. So decertification would be the perfect step here.
The question the audience is asking right now is, if you got a bad cop, why do other police departments even want them on the force? Why do they keep getting picked up?
Well, the problem is a lot of this stuff is racially motivated, and that's one of the things that we've been saying all along. As long as race is in the factor, other cops are sympathetic to that, and so other departments are sympathetic. Friends and buddies. That's why we call it a good old boy network in a lot of various institutions. I mean, you hire somebody, you hire your friend, your buddy, and look out for them. And the bottom line is this person has these bias tendencies and what they will do. So a lot of it is centered around that. We see this disparate impact on what happens to African Americans as opposed to other groups and even Jews and so forth. So yeah, you've got it. There are officers that slip through the cracks, and many of them have. But when you're talking about the incidents of race, it just seems like that's been the biggest one that we found where these acts occur and nobody seems to really take note until it's on camera or it's being noticed.
So let me ask you this about whether or not it will work on a multi-state basis. I'm in the DMV, District, Maryland, and Virginia. You're in New York, so you've got New Jersey, Connecticut, all the surrounding jurisdictions. These cops then can go to work for another jurisdiction, can't they?
That's right. That's right, Dale. And by the way, I'm in the Washington metropolitan area with you. But
I thought you were back up in New York.
Oh, no, I've spoken all over the country and do a lot of stuff in New York. But the reality of it is that, yes, you're right. I mean, that's been the issue all along. And even one of the bills, the George Floyd Protection Act, and we've got a bill now we're trying to push it through Congress now, Virginia's Congressman Connolly. And one of the things that everybody's looking for is how do we get officers identified in other locations? We've got a national database. If you're a criminal and got a criminal record, somebody can go in that database and look you up. But the bottom line is finding these police officers, because remember, they haven't been necessarily labeled as criminals. They're just decertifying that particular the police department says, look, we don't like your activities and how you've been carrying on and how you act. So we're going to take you off our department because we want to get rid of that liability, because right now the spotlight is on this type of behavior. So the reality is that we can get departments around the country, get public buy-in on that. On the George Floyd Protection Act, they had a piece in that where it said there would be a multi-level, database that would be able to identify these officers. So that is real important, to be able to have a database so that we can see other departments and what they have how they vetted these people and found them to not be worthy to be law enforcement.
Yeah, briefly before I let you go, your case now, your discrimination case against the Marshal Service, the latest being that the EEOC judge was supposed to take a look at it. Is it still moving forward? Things still going well?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say how well they're going, but they're going forward. We've had we're having negotiations right now, settlement negotiations, and discussing it. But you'll be hearing more from us, and I'll definitely make sure that our public is notified as to what's going on, because this involves law enforcement and involves the same stuff that, this case went on for years, racial discrimination, 28 years within a department, the Federal Law Enforcement Agency of America. And if it's going on there, I say it's going on everywhere. And it's pretty systemic. And it was when you start talking about 10,000 possible complainants in this case. That's a lot of Black Americans over since 1974. I mean 94, correction. So that's a lot of people, and to be in law enforcement and be having these problems, it simply translates to the street, and that's why when we talk about this issues of officers being biased in their activities, this is what's happening on the inside, so it simply translates to the street.
Dr. Matthew Fogg, as always, thanks for being with us. And yes, we will stay on top of this, because when you're talking about the Marshal Service, you're talking about one of the largest law enforcement agencies in the country. Think about your courthouses. Think about the people that guard the embassies. Think about the people that guard the president. Dr. Matthew Fogg, thanks for being with us today.